It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, so by the way, this portion of the program brought to you by Trajan Wealth, TRAJANwealth.com for all your trusted local needs in retirement. Got dicey last night, but then the heavyweight champs were just trading blows, and the Mammoth come out on top. They look like Rocky at the end of that one, all beat up and bloody, but they still got the win. How huge was that one last night, Jay?
Man, it was stated that a statement was made last night, as our good friend Mike Fulton said on the radio, and it has to be a statement game. That's the hump that Utah just couldn't get over for the last 2 years. Edmonton was their kryptonite, and Edmonton was doing, Connor McDavid was doing Connor McDavid things. He walked right past the entire team to score a goal. I think a lot of Utah fans just kind of, when it was 3-1, I think a lot of Utah fans just kind of accepted that this was going to be a loss. And to see those guys fight back and play the way they played, I think it has to not only be a statement and confirmation for a lot of the fan base, but it's got to also be for the team itself to prove to themselves that they could do it, to prove that even when Connor McDavid was just willing through. You saw Mackenzie Weegar, how he matched up, and you saw a lot of guys match up against Connor McDavid last night that you're going to need during the playoffs, and it was just a huge statement, a huge win. And I have never heard the Delta Center louder than when Keller sniped that shelf, man, on that PP goal. It was unbelievable.
It was a special night for the Mammoth and the fans, and everything just gets – the stakes get higher, the moments get sweeter, the highs are higher, the lows are lower. But right now this team is riding on a high, Jay. Why is this team playing so well right now?
I think it's the changes that Bear figured out with the lines, and getting Kerfoot back was huge for the team. The addition of Mackenzie Weegar and all the guys coming off of the Olympic break, everything's just seemed different in the locker room when you're talking to them. On the ice, Keller seems to be playing at another level. Cooley's playing at another level. There's just something different about the team. The lines are way better, and they're way more balanced. And tomorrow's going to be another good test, because you want to talk about balanced lines. Nashville comes in and they have 4 really well-balanced lines. Their leading scorers aren't just on line 1. You've got, their top scorers on line 1, their second leading scorers on line 2. So they're really well-balanced too. And I think Bear kind of figured out some magic, and he messed around with it last night. He dressed 7 defensemen instead of dressing the extra forward, which he's done all year and all last year. Last night was the first time that I can remember that he dressed an extra defenseman. So playing around with the lines, figuring out who's got the best chemistry, and you're really starting to see it. And that line with Carcone and the stuff that he's doing right now is just, it's pretty crazy to see, like all those players were there, but to put Peterka with Carcone and then put Kerfoot in the middle, it's just driving other teams nuts. They don't know how to handle it. They try to put their checkers out against that fourth line, and that fourth line is just built with speed, and they kind of refuse to get hit.
Jay, we talked about the Preds for a little bit here, and obviously that's a team that is, just behind the Mammoth in the standings. Them and the Kings, you look at and you kind of go, those guys might put something together, try to run these dudes down, so the Mammoths just have to keep winning, and at the very least probably win. I think they have to win 3 out of the last 4 to kind of guarantee they're going to get that wild card 1 spot. But you have the Predators who are playing really good hockey right now. They're playing tough. What is it about the Preds that maybe should make you nervous if you're a fan watching this one as they come into the Delta Center?
It's their goaltending. First off, their goaltending is some of the best in the league. They've got 2 goalies that are just lights out every night. UC Saros is their starter. He's been phenomenal for years. And it starts there. And then they've got big names like Stamkos and Marchessault and guys that have done it, and they've won Stanley Cups, and they know what they're doing. And they're, like I was saying, they're so balanced. I was just looking at their lines. You look at line 1 with Stamkos, O'Reilly, and Evangelista. And O'Reilly's another guy that's been around for a long time. He's got a lot of experience. He's got a wealth of knowledge, and he just is a punishing player to play against. And then you got line 2 with their leading scorer, Philip Forsberg's on their second line. That's just crazy that you have that much depth. And this is the team that went out before last season and spent all this money to bring in these big names and just kind of figured they'd go to go right to the Stanley Cup championship probably. And it just didn't work out. But something clicked for these guys right after the Olympic break as well. And they've been going on this streak just like the Mammoth. So you've got two teams in similar situations. One team's got a lot of guys that should have been better last year. And then Utah is a team that's, we know they're just getting better and better. So that's the thing you got to be worried about. When it comes right down to it, they match up pretty well, but you got to give the advantage on goaltending to, and I hate to say it, but you got to give the goaltending advantage to Nashville, which either one or two, whichever one they go with tomorrow.
It's going to be a fun game to watch because of what's at stake for both teams, and both are going to bring their best. There's no question about that. Utah should hold on to this number one wild card spot. The analytics tell us it's almost in the 90. It's like 95% that they do. Assuming they do, which of those three Pacific Division teams would you rather play in a first-round playoff series? Oilers, Knights, or Ducks?
Oh, man. When you look at those teams and what they've done, I think Utah matches up better against the Ducks. But then with that comes the Ducks are just figuring themselves out as well. They're a younger team. They've had some inconsistent goaltenders or, some goaltender issues as well. So I think I'd rather go up against Anaheim than the teams that are proven. Like Edmonton is scary, and they're going to get Draisaitl back. Like all expectation is that he's going to be ready for game one of the playoffs. So I would say Edmonton is scary, and you want to stay away from them. Vegas has a pretty good history of being good in the playoffs. The weird thing about Vegas is they struggle to score goals. And they shouldn't be struggling. They've got a lot of money spent on goal scorers, and they struggle to score goals lately. But with the coaching change, you've seen them get a little bit better. So if I'm going to pick somebody, I'm going to pick the Ducks. And that's who Utah's had a better season against as well.
What is it that Utah's done in the last, a couple of weeks? Because there have been some kind of gross-looking losses, but they've had these kind of signature wins that they've had along the way, too, and they're scoring a lot of goals in that same time period. So that feels good if you're watching this team. They're scoring goals, and they're able to kind of just go blow for blow with whomever's in front of them. What are the things that they're going to carry over into the playoffs that, even though this team hasn't been to the playoffs, I think the vast majority of them at all, what things are they learning right now that they're going to be able to take into that first and maybe even second round of the playoffs?
Yeah, you're not going to see a lot of the 6 and 7 goals that you've been seeing from them in the last 4 games once playoffs start. Playoffs, it's all about like blocking guys out of the middle of the ice and just making every space hard to get. Guys are on you immediately when you get the puck. And I think as these games have gotten more important, and especially with what we saw last night from Utah, they're learning to find space. They're learning that extra pass isn't going to be there. The same thing they've been being preached at all season is to shoot more. Like Barrett has been teaching them. Coach Andre Torini has been telling them to shoot. And you can hear him scream at practice, and he'll stop a drill when the guy makes the extra pass and tell him to shoot more. As playoffs start, you're going to see that they're going to have to take advantage of those shots. It's going to have to be the one pass shot. And that's what they're learning right now is that you're going to have to shoot. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be as fast. You're not going to find any room or any space anywhere on the ice. Guys are going to be all over you, and you're going to have to use that speed to find whatever room you can find and get that shot off immediately, and then just try to create chaos in front. That's what playoffs are. And then they're also learning that you got to score on the power play, and you got to stop taking penalties. Those are the keys, and you're seeing them really kind of learn those lessons, and they've taken less penalties. That we had a lot of games that were 5 penalties.
Uh-oh. All right, got to pay that internet bill. You guys, let's fire it up.
Oops.
We'll get
that was my responsibility this month.
We'll get Jay Stevens back.
I'll let you down. I'm sorry.
Here. I don't know how quickly we get back on the
I'll give you my credit card. We'll hurry and get that done.
Well, one of the things that I'll go off of what he was saying is that of all the things that you can kind of, you just have to know that the playoffs are just different.
Oh yeah,
and knowing that the playoffs are just different in the NHL, like in that you have to that everybody's playing a little bit harder. It sounds weird, right? It's like, oh, now we're going to play hard. it's not really that as much as it is just like the intensity. It's a finite amount of time you can be in the playoffs. If you're not playing well, you're gonzo, and so that energy gets transferred over into it again. I think we have Jay back. Jay, you all right, buddy?
Yeah, I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh yeah.
yeah. So
all right.
It's fitting that Clayton Keller hit the game winner last night because we received the news this morning that he's been nominated. He's the Utah Mammoth nomination for the NHL's Bill Masterton Memorial Trophy. And that trophy is awarded by the Professional Hockey Writers Association each year to the player who best exemplifies the qualities of perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to hockey. What have you seen from Clayton Keller that checks all those boxes and makes him the player that should win the trophy for the entire league?
Yeah, with the passing of his father, it was similar. If you remember, Connor Ingram run it the first year that the Utah Hockey Club was here. And it's an award that's important to recognize these guys that, during the course of the season, there's a lot of personal things that go on, loss and mental issues. And it's just the NHL's way of saying, hey, we see what you've gone through. And to look at a guy like Clayton Keller, who, lost his father. His father was not just close with Clayton, but he was close with everybody on the team. He was one of those really present fathers. And it's just a tough loss for him. And he just took it with grace. And he said, my dad would want me to keep playing. And he just went, and his whole family wanted him to keep playing. And he went out and instead of feeling sorry for himself, he just put the team on his back, and the team as well put him on their back. And they just went about winning and went about, going out in the community and not feeling sorry for himself. He just did everything he needed to do as a captain of the Utah Mammoth, basically took no time for himself and just buried himself in his work. And you're going to see a lot of the same stories, guys with, going through hard times. That's what this award's all about. So it's kind of tough when you hear the other stories to root for one guy over another.
Right.
Because it's pretty cool. These guys, it's a long season,
Yeah.
82 games is a lot. And if you have something like that happen and you don't take away time, who's to say what's right? To go and spend more time with your family, or is that really what your loved ones would have wanted? Was you to go on and represent? So it's a big award. I think Clayton's a perfect example of a he's just a great example for the NHL. That's the kind of person you want kids to look up to. He's always doing the right thing. He's always saying the right thing. He lives the right way, and he lives it like hockey's his religion, and he just proves it every night. And like I said, I would be fine with my kids or my grandkids looking up to Clayton Keller.
Yeah, the dude's won a gold medal, and he's got a chance to, lead them into the playoffs for the first time ever.
Yeah.
It would be an incredible story.
My son actually asked me last night. He goes, "Do you think Clayton Keller's going to be back on Team USA next time the Olympics come around?" I go, "I bet he is, and I bet he's going to be one of the guys that they're not wondering if he's going to make the team. You know what I mean? You might even see a couple of members of the Utah Mammoth on their national teams, even more so because they're just making such strides here." Jay, I wanted to ask you about, when you look at a team like the Toronto Maple Leafs, they're kind of like the Yankees of hockey, right? They still sell all the jerseys. They're still like the most popular team, maybe the Dodgers, something like that. Austin Matthews, the rumors are that he's not going to be long for there. What does a guy like that, when he gets onto the market, what does it do to the rest of the free agency market that's out there, or the trade possibilities that are out there for teams to be able to pick up a guy like that?
It's been really interesting, and it's crazy how often we're having this conversation. He has 2 years left on his deal. He wants to win a cup in Toronto. He wants to be the guy that brings the cup back to Toronto. He gets a bad rap just because, and we've seen some of the media, I don't even want to call them actual media. There's just internet trolls out there that create these stories, and you've seen it happen to other players where the team actually came out and addressed the story saying, hey, this is false. The media needs to stop this. But they never do that for Austin Matthews. The Toronto media has been ruthless on him. There's a lot of stuff that gets started and said about him that's never verified. So we don't know what he's like in the locker room, but a lot of people just assume he's not good in the locker room just because that's what the Toronto media says. And you've seen other stars leave the area. Mitch Marner left. And I can see if he goes on the market, he's going to be obviously the number one. He's not a free agent for 2 years, so he'll be the number one trade bait. But because of all the bad stuff the press has said about him, if he is a cancer in the locker room, if he is somebody that can't push your team to the next win. What are you going to ask for him? How are you going to even balance that out? Oh, I want like a proven first rounder and 2 more of your first round picks. Nobody's going to give that up for a guy that's got that kind of a reputation. So I think an American team would go for him, especially somebody that had something to do with coaching during the Olympics or during some of the international play that Austin's been a part of. I could see somebody that really knows him, knowing his value and what they're going to offer for him. Other than that, it's just one of those crazy. It's the same thing that kept Mitch Marner there for so long.
Right.
People thought he might be a bad apple, so they just didn't want to invest a lot of of their depth in the draft, of their draft capital. They didn't want to invest a lot of it to get a guy like that. So it's going to be interesting to see if something like that really happens. But if you're the Maple Leafs, you got to do whatever you can to keep him. He is your captain. He is he's a premier player, top 10, top 5 in the NHL. I mean, I don't know. It's going to be crazy. I just can't see him actually being dealt for anything because I just don't see a lot of teams putting up a lot that Toronto would say is fair. And he's proven himself. He scores a ton of goals every year, and he's a big boy too. He throws his body around. He doesn't miss very many games. He's exactly the kind of guy you want on your team. So I don't see why Toronto would let him go.
If they put him on the market, and they might be rebuilding, I think there is a team close to here who has the resources and the draft capital to make a run at him. Could you see?
Yeah.
If that's a big if. If they could, and he was on the market, should they?
I just don't think his age and what he brings fits into the Mammoths' big picture. Yes, Utah could get him. They do have draft capital. They do have prospects. But a lot of those prospects are what Utah's looking for in the next 3 to 5 years. I don't know what Austin Matthews is going to be in the next 3 to 5 years. That's when Utah thinks they're going to be winning cups. Not this year, not next year, but, in 3 years. So are you going to give up a Ginla or Denoye or even Cole Baudouin, who's just these are kids that are going to come on and probably light up the NHL for the next 10 to 15 years, where Austin Matthews probably has 3 to 5 years left. So, yeah, I know. I see all the articles that say because we used to be the Arizona Coyotes that it makes sense to bring him here, but
it's close
I don't
to
think
home.
that's enough of a link.
Right.
Yeah, and it is close to home. And he actually did train here in Park City before anybody knew who he was. He was training with some of the guys up in Park City every summer. There was like Brad May and Rob Blake. Bertuzzi was out here. There's somebody I'm forgetting, but Claude Lemieux. Claude Lemieux had a training thing he would do out here, and he had Austin Matthews as part of that in Park City. So there's that connection too that a lot of people don't know. But I just don't see it fitting in with Utah's big picture, and they've been so consistent on the way they're approaching the big picture that I can't see him locked, because Austin Matthews is going to want at least $10 million.
Right.
Like if you bring him over and whatever's left on his contract, that just ties up so much of your money, and then you lose prospects. So I can't see Utah making that move at all.
He is Jay Stevens. He hosts the Utah Puck Report. You can find it wherever fine podcasts are found. Jay, as always, we appreciate you coming on, man. And it's just a few more games left here. Everybody's still crossing their fingers. I know the numbers are on the Mammoth side, but we've seen weirder things happen in sports than some teams get hot and then others start to fall off. But we're hoping for the best, obviously. So we'll have you on during the playoffs. How about that?
That sounds phenomenal. It'll be heartbreaking if they don't make it. So I'm looking forward to being on the show during the playoffs.
There you go. Jay, we appreciate it, man. Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks, guys.
heartbreaking is an understatement at this
He's
point.